Who designs computers like this? Why? Hey everybody, how's it going? On this channel for many years, I've tried to show you how to do really complicated repairs, and you can see that on my main YouTube page. From this playlist showing you how to fix boards where PM Sleep S4L is missing, to MacBook component level logic board repairs, battery charging issues, I go over a lot of issues at the board level, and I show you how to fix it by specifically fixing what is wrong rather than throwing everything out and replacing it. I want to teach people who want to learn this stuff how to do it. And I also, as a recurring theme, go over the fact that authorized repair doesn't really fix much of anything, because a lot of people who are critics of what I do here will say you should take it to the authorized repair center. They're going to do it properly. And in reality, the authorized repair center doesn't fix most of the things that I fix the way that I do, because they don't know how. They don't know the products as well as repair shops like we do. And we are constantly slandered with this idea that independents don't know what they're doing. They're going to screw everything up. You shouldn't take it there. And I've really wanted to change that with this channel, that perception that the independent is the one that you should be skeptical of, not the authorized, or as Jessa says, branded service center. Now, in this video I did a while back, what does authorized repair do? Let's find out. What I did is I decided to call a bunch of different authorized service centers and have the line be recorded so you could hear what they tell me. And here they would say things like the iPhone 6 headphone jack is soldered to the board and you can't fix it without replacing the phone, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's actually one of the few things that makes Apple phones great is that the charge port is modular. So you can easily replace it by just swapping out a $5 part. It takes 20 minutes. And over the course of this call for 30 minutes, they told me, many different repair centers for many different issues, that there were a bunch of different repairs that could not be done or could only be done a certain way, and it typically involved replacing the entire phone, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, the next thing that I moved on to about 2 years ago were the actual conditions of these authorized repair centers, because people have this idea that the authorized repair center is going to be doing everything right. They're going to be treating people properly, equipping people properly, and that couldn't be further from the truth in many situations. I went over the issue with sweatshop labor with CSAT Solutions. Somebody had posted to Reddit, do you know what happens to your MacBook when you send it for repair? This is over 2 years old, and I reached out to this gentleman and a few other people that work at CSAT. I verified their employment status, but kept them anonymous so that I knew that what I was getting wasn't BS, and I share that information in this video and a follow-up video that I'll link down below. I had an interview with him, and the working conditions were pretty bad, as well as the work that actually gets done there. And I've also was featured in this piece on CBC News, where they're telling you that it's going to cost you $1,900 to $2,000 because there's a bent pin in a display cable that a repair shop like mine could either bend back for free or replace within a half hour for $75 to $150. There's this idea that the authorized repair center is the place that you need to go because they're the only ones that are going to do a good job. They're the only ones that are set up properly, and that you can't trust those filthy independents. And I really hope that this channel on a regular basis proves them wrong by not only doing repairs that they're not able to do, but actually figuring out some of the design flaws in the products before the actual manufacturer does. But today, an amazing piece came out that I feel compelled to share with you that I hope finally puts a nail in the coffin of this idea that the authorized repair facility is the only one that you should trust with your device. There was a journalist named Rachel Premack, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, that reached out to me several months ago that wanted to follow up on this stuff that I did, doing a piece on CSAT Solutions, and goddamn you, if you're calling me about my car's extended warranty, I will fuck you up so bad. Hello?
Choosing Hilton Hotels.
Fuck you! I never stayed at a Hilton Hotel. Hilton Hotels, Marriott Hotels, car's extended warranty. I am this close to figuring out if I can just get a data-only plan, because the only time I ever get a phone call nowadays is spam. Anyway, next. So I received I received an email from Rachel, and she wanted to follow up on the CSAT Solutions piece. She seemed to find this interesting, and I hadn't heard or seen anything for several months, so I figured maybe this just went by the wayside. But then she published this absolutely amazing, very well-researched, very well-detailed article this morning that I wanted to share with you all, because this is absolutely amazing. And it really does, in my opinion, put a nail in the coffin of this idea that the authorized repair center should be trusted above all else, that they're better in every single way. And my heart goes out to the people that actually work at CSAT Solutions. But let's just go over what it says in this article. Workers who fix Apple's laptops say their workplace is a sweatshop with broken air conditioning, feces-covered toilet seats, and 13-hour workdays. If you're ever unlucky enough to spill a latte between the keys of your $1,300 MacBook Pro or shatter its screen, your first stop would probably be Apple's website, where you could schedule an appointment to take it to a nearby Apple store. Surrounded by pristine white walls, floor-to-ceiling windows, and blonde wood tables, you would wait for help at Apple's Genius Bar. A friendly, casually dressed employee would say hello and listen to your problem. Then you'd surrender your expensive aluminum brick and watch it disappear behind closed doors for repair. But behind that gleaming white facade, your laptop would likely begin a journey to a very different place. Apple contracts out many of its laptop repairs to a Texas company called CSAT Solutions, a major piece of the technology giant's third-party repair network. It was founded in 1992 and also counts Dell and Lenovo as clients. There, people with knowledge of the facility said, low-wage workers toil, often in oppressive heat with grueling targets. They are cut off from the outside world during their shifts and sometimes wait in long lines and use toilets smeared with feces. In a recent interview with Insider, workers said that CSAT Solutions is a sweatshop, with one even likening the technicians who labor in its Houston facility to slaves. These experiences appear to run counter to the image of Apple's trillion-dollar brand: sophistication, high prices, and top-notch products. The world's most valuable company, built on a carefully constructed reputation that has transformed its product launches into global spectacles and its gadgets into markers for wealth and status, relies for repairs on a company where technicians work in a hot Texas warehouse in what they say are poor conditions. Joseph Seifin, who worked as a repair technician from March 2016 to July 2019, was shocked by his experience at CSAT. I expected something very fancy, he told Insider. The reality, he said, was much different, and he spent every day after work looking for a new job. As 5 current and 5 former workers told Insider, employees fix gadgets for up to 13 hours a day. The air conditioning at the building in Northwest Houston, where technicians repair Apple computers, is seldom fully functioning, the worker said, so CSAT Solutions tells employees to bring personal fans. At my store, at my old store and my new store, I had, my old store, a 28,000 and 23,000 BTU air conditioner for a 650 square foot space. Here I have over 40,000 BTUs of air conditioning for what amounts to about 2,000, 2,100 square feet of space. And if I were ever telling employees at a computer repair business, bring a personal fan because I'm not going to pay for air conditioning, if that day comes, I hope everybody quits. I hope everybody quits. I hope there is a walkout. No air conditioning, no worky. This is not 1700 anymore. This is ridiculous. Cell phones and idle chit-chat are banned, the worker said. Workers also said there aren't enough bathrooms, and one current repair technician said they smell disgusting. So this is one at my store, I get it. There are times where people could be screwing around, and at some point, people screwing around can eventually go from a little bit to a lot to, wow, there's nothing getting done, and I'm paying 14 people. I get it. But actually banning idle chit-chat, as if people are actually doing their jobs, I don't particularly care if they're laughing among one another, if they're joking back and forth, because that's what keeps people from being miserable. And if you keep people from being miserable, there's a chance, a small chance, that they might actually care about the work that they do for your company. Workers are pushed to complete a repair in less than an hour, on average, a pace that one former technician called impossible to sustain. A CSAT representative said that the company has additional training for those having difficulty meeting repair quotas. It depends on what type of repair you're doing. I don't think this is too unreasonable, but it depends on what type of repair you're doing. Sweatshop would be the number one way I would describe CSAT. A manager who worked there for 4 years told Insider. People are running everywhere. People are being yelled at. It's a lot of chaos when you walk in. We have extensive processes in place to maintain our high workplace standards and provide many different ways for employees to share any concerns they may have, including through anonymous channels. A representative for CSAT Solutions told Insider in a statement, "We take allegations seriously and will ensure they are investigated thoroughly. We will continue to do everything we can to ensure our associates have a safe and healthy workplace and will take immediate action to maintain our high standards if we find any issues." Bullshit. I mean, bullshit. This piece came out, a few days ago. My original piece on this came out 2.5 years ago. Nothing's changing. You're full of it, in my opinion. 7 workers said they believe that Apple was aware of the working conditions at CSAT Solutions because they have seen visitors who managers identified as Apple employees tour the Houston facilities at least twice a year over the past several years. An Apple spokesperson confirmed to Insider that company representatives regularly visit CSAT Solutions' Houston location. None of CSAT Solutions' technicians or lower-level supervisors are actually employed by the company. Rather than directly hire its own repair staff, CSAT relies on 2 staffing agencies, Atero and StaffMark, to hire and supply these workers. Higher-level managers work directly for CSAT. So let's get this straight. When you come to Rossman Repair Group, you are having someone fix your device that I personally at some point interviewed, personally looked over the work of, and then personally said, okay, you have my stamp of approval. You are allowed to do work here because it is to my standard of quality. Whereas when you go to an Apple store, they are outsourcing it to a company that's then outsourcing the hiring of the staff to a company that then hires the person that works on your stuff. But authorized repair is the repair you should trust. It's not authorized. It's branded. They put their logo on it. That's it. It's being outsourced to being outsourced to being outsourced. When you go to a small repair shop like ours or Jessa's, Jessa is actually looking at the work that is done by the employees before she has them work on customer devices. I am looking at the work that applicants do and trainees do before they actually start to say, this is done, we're going to give this back to a customer. Do you trust that? Or do you trust their outsourcing to a company that outsources to a company that hires somebody? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is just, the idea that Authorized is more trustworthy at this point is hysterical. 5 workers said that the hourly wage at CSAT Solutions increased this year to $14 an hour from $12 an hour. An Apple genius on average earns $24 an hour. But this is an interesting thing, is that the people who do board repair at this business not only earn more than them, but they earn more than the average Apple genius. But again, you would think that once you have a $1 to $2 trillion valuation that you should be able to pay the people that are doing the repairs better than a company run by a college dropout that could never get a real business loan. But as of July, 3 current technicians told Insider that overtime is no longer allowed, which they said would slash their take-home wages and likely those of other CSAT workers. Still, people said the hourly pay was a significant improvement from several years ago, when technicians were paid a sliding amount per laptop depending on how challenging the repair was. The system called piecework pay was used in 19th century textile factories and is still used in some sweatshops today. To be fair, getting paid by the repairs that you do is a valid business model. I don't use it myself because I think that it would encourage people to go through things as quickly as they can. I use an hourly model because I don't want you thinking to yourself, like, I need to do this fast. I don't want there to be a financial incentive to not ultrasonic the board when it's done or to not replace components that should be replaced for it to be a good repair. I find that can kind of incentivize people to go for a speed versus quality, but it does work for other repair shops. There are the repair shops that can make that work. You get paid based on the repairs that you do. I think calling it similar to a 19th century sweatshop, that piecework pay is a bit off, even if it's not the method that works for me, but I'm just tossing that in there. None of the repair technicians get paid enough to live, a former technician told Insider, referring to the former piecework pay system. Many of the current and former workers asked to not have their names disclosed, but their identities are known to Business Insider. The piecework pay ended up being far less than minimum wage, the former technician added. Had I not been living with my parents when I worked there, I would have starved. Okay, that's the problem. It's not getting paid per the repairs that you do. It's they set the pay for those repairs per repair to a low enough amount that it was below minimum wage. That's the problem more than the actual system. It's the numbers that CSAT plugged into that system, in my opinion. The CSAT Solutions representative declined to comment on previous pay structures, of course, but noted that the company is compliant with local and state compensation laws. He added that the company increased their pay this year to reflect changes in the market. Staffmark Group, which owns both Staffmark and Attero, declined to comment, citing employee confidentiality and privacy concerns. A representative noted they would follow up at their local offices regarding the claims in this story, likely because they didn't even know that this was happening, because that's what happens when you outsource to a company that outsources to a company that then actually hires the person doing the work. Each part of the Apple experience must work flawlessly. Insider previously reported that Apple stores were the most profitable shops per square foot in 2017, far surpassing other luxury brands with devoted followings such as Tiffany & Co. and Lululemon. It arrived at its market cap of more than $2 trillion, partly by telling a story that features the relentless pursuit of aesthetic perfection, a commitment to innovation, and a belief in making things simple. These principles, as well as a seamless repair process, have lured shoppers into buying phones that cost more than a laptop and $1,000 monitor stands. Longtime Apple analyst Gene Munster, a managing partner of Lou Ventures, said it's important for Apple to have a repair process in which customers do not experience service or shipping delays. Whether the repairs are done by CSAT Solutions or Apple's in-house technicians, all of that just has to work flawlessly, Munster said. As its website says, Apple hardware, software, and services must work together to deliver a seamless experience that just works. And I agree with that. I agree with the idea It's the implementation here that seems to be a little less than perfect. So as you can see here, this is highly triggering, but I just can't help but point it out. They took a picture of the Apple Store, and there's someone outside of it wearing a chin bra. Just put it on or take it off, but the chin bra drives me nuts. Anyway, but workers told Insider they feel Apple's repair network can stretch its contractors to their limits. I feel like Apple's expectations are too high, a current repair technician at CSAT Solutions said. It's really stressful. They want you to work so hard, but they will give you nothing in return. It's not clear what percentage of MacBooks CSAT Solutions repairs for Apple. A CSAT representative declined to comment on customer relations, while an Apple spokesperson said that CSAT is one of their third-party repair providers. Meanwhile, Munster said CSAT is the largest third-party laptop repair partner, and the only partner he's aware of. Before working at CSAT Solutions, current and former technicians told Insider that Apple's top-notch reputation made them think the working experience at CSAT would be plush too. They said that made their experience at CSAT Solutions all the more jarring. Some people might have the expectation that because we're going to work on Apple computers, that things are going to be nice and shiny and clean all the time. A current manager at CSAT Solutions said, it's not the case. In a response to a list of questions, an Apple spokesperson told Insider they would investigate the claims in this story. We uphold the highest standards in the industry and regularly assess our suppliers to ensure they comply, the spokesperson said. We have undertaken 3 assessments at CSAT in Houston in recent years, and Apple members regularly visit the site. We take all allegations seriously and will investigate. As always, our focus is on making sure that everyone in our supply chain is protected and treated with dignity and respect, which is, to me, sounds like a typical copy pasta bullshit PR thing that you copy and paste when you get contacted by the news media with your pants down. Inside the CSAT Solutions workplace. In the summer of 2019, a Houston native had just completed a 9-month computer repair training program that cost him $7,500. A recruiter from CSAT Solutions visited his training school. After a short interview process, he was offered a job at a company's warehouse where workers fix MacBooks for $12 an hour. $12 an hour. There was a promise of a pay bump if he worked his butt off, he told Insider. At first, he said, CSAT Solutions seemed like a great place to work compared to his previous gigs in fast food. There was the promise of upwards mobility, and he got the chance to develop his technical skills. He tried to ignore the drab and dreary environment of the warehouse, which he said had concrete floors and no natural lighting. The CSAT representative noted that associates have the option to go outside during break and lunch periods. But over the nearly 2 years he worked there, he said the environment became stifling. He said if technicians chatted while repairing laptops, managers often told them to knock it off, a pattern another worker confirmed. Because they were not CSAT Solutions employees, the company did not provide paid sick leave or vacation time either, 2 workers said, 2 things that you get if you work at Ross & Repair Group, which is, again, a small business that was started by someone who was broke, that was never able to get a real business loan, but apparently too much for a subcontractor of a $1 to $2 trillion company. Wow. The CSAT representative disputed this and told Insider associates received 2 weeks of paid time off after 6 months of full-time employment. He also said associates can speak freely to each other. Former and current repair associates who spoke with Insider said they often waited in line up to 10 minutes to use the restroom, which put pressure on their repair quotas. The Houston native said that the facility's men's bathroom had 2 toilet stalls and 2 urinals for hundreds of workers, and he said the stalls were often in disrepair, making the crush worse. 2 stalls for hundreds of workers. So I have 2 bathrooms for 14 people, and typically those 14 people are not always in the store at the same time. So you may have like 10 or 11 people at the store at the same time, and you have 2 bathrooms. Here, they have 2 toilet stalls and 2 urinals for hundreds. Hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. In New York City, where real estate is at the premium that it is, I have 2 bathrooms for 10 to 14 people. In Houston, where they're in a warehouse, real estate is way cheaper. They have, for hundreds of people, 2 toilet stalls, 2 urinals. A CSAT Solutions representative said the company complies with federal sanitation law in all of its facilities, providing enough toilets for workers. It's great to see that you provide the bare minimum number of toilets for hundreds of people. I'm sure that's something to be proud of. The women's restroom has 4 stalls, current employees said. There, one current technician said it's common to see feces on the toilet seat. There are additional bathrooms in an adjoining office building, workers said, but the repair staff aren't permitted to use them. The company representative said these restrooms are cleaned 3 times a day at minimum. One area where I'll push back, because I mentioned this in a recent video. Granted, these people are not getting paid enough to be janitors, so I would expect considerably less here than I would of people at my company. How do you get feces in the toilet seat? Like, how do you get feces in the toilet seat? One of your coworkers is shitting on the toilet seat, and that's a Why is your coworker like? How do you miss the toilet seat? I mean, how do you miss the toilet and get it on the seat? That's beyond me. If you could give me an idea in the comments, I would be curious. But how do you? Okay, that's like one thing that I wouldn't blame on CSAT. I don't know. One of my employees took a shit on the toilet seat, and I knew it was them. Man, that would be something. That would be something. Then there was the air conditioner, which the Houston native said was rarely functioning during his tenure. He said that managers often claimed that people were working to fix the air conditioner, but even after they said it was fixed, the technician said the heat inside was uncomfortable at best. Technicians said they spent most of their day sweating under their work smocks as they fixed MacBooks. Workers told Insider they've handled laptops that arrive with the stench of cat urine or pancake syrup and cockroaches that crawl through USB ports to smuggle with motherboards. Yeah, that's admittedly part of the business. That's sadly part of the job. They said that they get two 15-minute breaks and one 30-minute lunch each workday following federal regulations, which often happen around the same time. That means the few pauses in the workday are often spent waiting in lines for the restroom, the security check to re-enter the building, or for the use of one of the dozen microwaves. In response, the CSAT Solutions representative said rest times are staggered throughout the day. Parking at the facility is so limited that 2 current technicians said that workers arrive up to an hour before their shift just to snag a spot. Leaving the campus during lunch break is also out of the question. If you leave at lunch, people are waiting to take your spot, one technician said. Employees said a ban on cell phones inside the facility sometimes left them and their coworkers unable to connect with families during emergencies. Okay, that's insane. It's one thing to say, listen, I don't want you to be on your phone playing Candy Crush at work all day, but it's another to outright ban phones. I mean, if I have an employee that I can't trust to do their job because they are literally too busy staring at their phone all day to do their work, then I just fire them. I mean, saying you're not allowed to take your phone inside the facility, particularly for a job that pays about less than minimum wage from what they're saying, no. Family members can reach company technicians by contacting Human Resources, but 4 current and former staffers said the department doesn't always answer the phone, and HR employees typically leave at 5 p.m. hours before technicians on the floor are off the clock. One former manager said when her son was admitted to a children's hospital in Galveston with severe burns, she didn't find out until she could check her phone at 8 that evening after her shift ended. The CSAT representative said that the company is available via telephone from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., while a staff mark representative is available from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. They added that associates have lockers to store their phones and other personal belongings, which they may access during break times. Passing the buck. The majority of Apple's products are manufactured in Asia, particularly in China. Critics have blasted the electronics giant for low pay and poor conditions in those facilities. But Apple has responded to this criticism by noting that Foxconn, a Taiwanese contract manufacturer, runs the factories and also makes products for other companies, including Amazon, Sony, and Nintendo. Now, other companies are okay with slave labor, so don't yell at us. Apple appears to maintain a similar distance from the conditions on the ground at CSAT Solutions, which in turn relies on the staff mark group to recruit workers and manage employee relations. The result is a mishmash of accountability that leaves workers at a disadvantage, says employment lawyer H. Scott Leviant, a senior counsel at Los Angeles law firm Moon & Yang. An Apple customer is several subcontractors away from who actually repairs the device. A customer takes their laptop to a Genius Bar. Then it goes to CSAT. Apple sends it to CSAT. Then that goes to Staffmark and Attero, 2 temporary worker agencies, to employ the repair technician. This is something that probably should be the thumbnail of my video, and hopefully Rachel does not get mad that I stole this picture to use in my thumbnail, because this really is authorized repair in a nutshell right here. Levian told Insider that using staffing agencies and temporary workers is typical for companies such as CSAT Solutions, which have contracts with electronics companies. They may have concerns that they don't know if they're going to get repair business when the next Apple product comes out, that they'll be the designated repair center, Levian says. But Levian says there are downsides for workers. It's a difficult situation for the employee to be in because they have 2 masters, he said. Irritating either of them undermines their ability to earn wages and have regular work. At CSAT Solutions, we strive to create a safe, welcoming, and open work environment for more than 2,000 associates and to provide ancillary service to our customers, the CSAT representative told Insider. They did not tell that to Insider. They copied and pasted it from a list of PR-friendly things to say, probably from some bullshit-ass template that they found on the internet, in my opinion. Workers say that Attero and Staffmark, which are both owned by the Staffmark Group, rarely solve concerns about the workplace and their experiences. 5 people said they attempted to report workplace problems to these agencies, but added to that, to their knowledge, nothing was resolved. Big surprise there! It's almost like they don't have an incentive structure to care. A current manager at CSAT Solutions said that when asked the staffing agencies to issue warnings to workers in his department who aren't meeting standards, the agencies rarely take action. I don't think the contract company is as concerned as the main company would be, a technician said. When she tried to bring up concerns, it was a fill out the form and leave me alone kind of thing. Meanwhile, all 10 workers said that when they tried to bring up concerns directly with CSAT Solutions, they were referred to a Taro and staff mark. None of the 10 workers attempted directly to contact Apple. The CSAT representative declined to comment on the staff mark group. They said technicians have multiple avenues, including their manager, human resources representative, and a confidential reporting hotline to report concerns. For as much work as I work, I might as well get a cot to sleep there, says a current technician. For those attempting to move up within CSAT Solutions, promotions are difficult to come by, people said. One former manager said she was hired at $12 an hour, with the promise she would earn a raise within her first 6 months if she met expectations. She said she became one of the more respected leaders in her division. Staffers from other teams would often come to her with questions, but she says she never saw a raise or promotion until she threatened to leave. I told them, hey, I think I'm going to try to find something else, she told Insider, and they said, oh, here's a 50-cent raise, after 3 years. The Houston native says he never got a raise either. He told Insider that he eventually stopped putting in the effort at work, and the company let him go in March. To make my rent, I somehow have to come up with 60 hours by Saturday, one current technician said on a recent Thursday. Why should I be here from 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. just to make my ends meet? I've worked till I couldn't work anymore. Another current technician, named Oreo the cat, who said... Oreo, come here. Who said she spends 50 to 60 hours a week at CSAT Solutions, said, for as much as I work, I might as well get a cot to sleep there. Wow. One former manager, who is a Vietnamese American, said CSAT Solutions is a particularly popular workplace among Houston's Vietnamese community because the work does not require English language skills. Workers can also quit to take weeks or months to visit family back home and be rehired when they return, the former manager said. But many Vietnamese-speaking workers have complained of low pay. According to a report by BYN-TV, a Vietnamese language Houston news channel, hundreds of workers went on strike in 2013 to demand better compensation. Workers at CSAT are not unionized. One worker, Feng Trang, told the news network that they earn less than $5 per device fixed. Our incomes are already low and not adequate to support us, Tran said. $5 per repair. $5 per repair. In 2014, a former CSAT Solutions manager named Edward No sued the company in Harris County Civil Court, claiming employment discrimination. No alleged that management targeted him after the 2013 strike, though he was not part of the demonstration. He was demoted from a role overseeing 150 workers to a manual labor job, which he found challenging because of back pain, the complaint said. No claimed that CSAT Solution, using the company's previous name, PCS-CTS, deliberately paid Vietnamese workers less than their non-Vietnamese peers. Originally, the workers were paid approximately in the range of $5 to $7 per computer part repaired, until PCS-CTS management reduced the pay of the Vietnamese workers to the range of $3 to $5 for each computer part repaired, said the 2014 suit, which was settled in 2016. The repair company responded in a 2015 filing that No failed to exhaust the options to remedy his situation before the lawsuit. It maintained that all employment actions against No were non-discriminatory and taken in good faith. Joseph Seifin, the former technician, said he'd witnessed this type of treatment towards Vietnamese workers play out himself. They pushed these people to work like slaves, he said. No is not the only former worker to bring the repair company to court. Insider found several additional lawsuits filed against the company since 2009. 4 alleged failure to pay overtime. 2 said the company did not promote 2 Hispanic women based on their ethnicity and gender, and 1 claimed a former IT employee was fired after he reported sexual harassment of female coworkers by the company's chief operating officer. All 7 suits were settled. CSAT wrote in court filings responding to each of these suits that it denied any discriminatory or retaliatory practices. The CSAT representative declined to comment on the lawsuits and strikes. Apple's reliance on CSAT Solutions appears to have only grown in recent years. 3 current technicians said Apple has recently added 2 lines to its work with the company: battery replacement and reviving dead units. They keep on hiring more people to do more units and more testing, the current technician said. It's a good thing. It helps keep the flow going. Several workers said they understand that Apple employees tour the facility at least twice a year. The employees sometimes carry a clipboard and ask technicians questions. When Apple auditors pay a visit, 5 current and former workers said their managers instruct them to do certain tasks differently. So what they do is when there's an auditor coming by, they change the way they treat their people, and they change what their people do so that they won't get in trouble. 3 technicians said that although Apple expects them to use a machine that opens a laptop shell, there's usually a line to use it. To meet their repair quota, workers use what's called a black stick, a tool that can damage the bottom case if used with too much force to pry open MacBooks and oh, nonsense. Okay, the only way that you're going to damage the case using this thing is if you are stabbing it, or maybe if you attach this to a knife. I use this thing every single day. I've been using this thing for like 3 or 4 years. You're never going to break the machine using this unless you're a complete idiot. No, nonsense. When the auditors visit, they're less likely to use the black stick, the technician said. They want you to work an inhumane amount of time, getting calluses on your hands, pushing and pushing as long as you can get these units out, a current technician said of her overall experience. Also, one thing to note, the fact that Apple designed the machine to where you take the screws out and you have to slide the bottom out, that it just doesn't stay in with screws, this is fucking ridiculous design. And whoever at Apple's responsible for this should be ashamed of themselves. Like, genuinely ashamed of themselves. This machine is designed in a way where you either smash it with a black stick or you kind of pull at it like this, but there's a sharp edge over here. So once you've pried the case open a little, you can pull. People use a suction cup. The suction cup's a pain in the ass. I never get that to work. I usually just use black stick and pull. But when you're pulling on it, it winds up cutting your fingers right here because they have a sharp edge right by that. It's like, who designs computers like this? Why? Anyway, that's for another video. The punishing pace ultimately boosts Apple's sparkling brand image. I'm always surprised when I send something in. It's always back faster than I think, and it seems to work, said Munster, the Apple analyst. Never once probably visiting to ask why. I don't know what it's like from the inside, what it's like trying to deliver that service, he added. But from the outside, from a consumer standpoint, that's a win. Wow. So the guy that works at Apple says, I don't know what it's like from the inside to deliver that service, but from the outside, from a consumer standpoint, that's a win. That's a win. Who cares if people can't go to the bathroom? Because over 100 people have 2 fucking stalls. Who cares if there's no air conditioning? Who cares if they're making below minimum wage? Who cares if they purposely pay people that can't speak English way less money just because they can? That's a win. It's a win. That's a win. This myth, the myth that authorized repair is going to do things better, needs to die. Authorized repair is so bad that they genuinely believe in their heart of hearts and brain of brains that you can't replace the iPhone 6 headphone jack because it's soldered to the board. They said that. Authorized repair is so bad that when you have a bent pin on a cable, they can't replace the cable for $75 to $150. They must charge you $1,900 to $2,000 to mess with everything in the machine. They treat their employees like slaves. But you're supposed to trust authorized repair. Don't trust the independents. These people cannot be trusted with a schematic. They cannot be trusted by getting an ISL 9240. Don't go to them. They're scary. It's time to push back against this more forcefully. It's time to start informing consumers as to what authorized repair actually is. What they do at an authorized repair center is they put their brand name on it, and then they outsource it to someone who outsources it to someone who has somebody else actually do it. That's the way this works. It's branded repair, not authorized repair. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And just really, I think people here should give a big thumbs up to Rachel Premack because she has been working on this piece for at least 4 or 5 months. And this piece here, all the stuff that you see here, this was not just like clickbaity journalism where they're just copying and pasting what somebody else said. She saw the stuff that I talked about in this video and she decided, I'm going to dig in for 4 to 5 months to figure out exactly what's going on here. And that's good journalism, and we need more of that. And I appreciate that there's people out there that are still doing it. So good job.